Hi all, and welcome to the new episode of All Rucked Up. This is the podcast that aims to give a view on rugby and life from those who are catastrophically injured playing the game. We're going to get into a bit of rugby talk again. This week we've got some interesting topics such as the Six Nations, Eddie Jones taking over Australia, and sort of the discipline in the game and how the referees are acting around it. Do a quick introduction of everyone who's here today. I'm myself and Max. I'm usually here. I'm usually hosting, and yeah, we've got 5 others with me today. So, don't know. You want to say hi, Mark?
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Mark.
I can't remember. Have you been on the podcast before, Mark?
Yeah, no, I was on the first one.
Yeah, cool. We had Ross from last time as well.
Yep, good to be back.
Yeah. Nick, who's our resident grumpy old man, and then we got Paul, who has been a regular so far on the podcast.
Hi there.
And finally, Chris, who you can't see because his internet is so poor, but he's with us in spirit and in voice.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
So we're going to start with the first topic, which is Eddie Jones. Big news this week. We obviously sacked him as an England coach. How do we feel about Eddie Jones now taking on Australia?
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I think it's just going to make the World Cup so much fun. There's so many little subplots. Listening to an interview he gave, I found it interesting that he'd already had contact with the Australian RFU to go there after his England contract had finished, after the World Cup. And they've brought it forward a year. Which is, I just think, yeah, it just makes it so much fun. There's so many little subplots. I mean, there's a potential England-Australia quarter-final. It's great. I love it.
What about you, Mark?
I agree. It is quite funny. It's also quite funny that England didn't stipulate that he couldn't go to another team for the World Cup. But I think Haskell actually called it a couple of months back. He said he could see Eddie taking over Australia, and as you said, Ross, in the semi-finals or quarter-finals, England, Australia, and Eddie Jones is on the touchline.
I believe it'll be the quarters.
Yeah.
If we end up in the same side.
If things go according to form,
yeah. If they don't go according to form, though, surely they'd end up in the other side of the group. So I think it would be.
Yeah, I think Nick's got great opinion on this.
I have, yeah. No, well, famous last words, but good luck to him, because honestly, he's 5 years past it. With a welcome to him.
I actually think he'll do pretty well for them.
Yeah,
New coaching, fresh.
Yeah, I agree.
Like he did for England when he first started with England. He's coming into a lot of new players that are in the Australian side. He does know what he's talking about. He is a good coach. He just got stale with England, and England made that decision to say, "Well, no, we'll go with something new and fresher." I think he'll go in, and I think he'll do a quite a reasonable job for Australia. So for me, I'm actually thinking, he may actually make the difference for Australia.
It's better going back to the Aussie rules. The amount of likes in the air.
I agree with Paul. I think he might come in with that sort of honeymoon period. This might actually be the perfect time for him to join. Have like about an 8-month run into the World Cup.
The World Cup's only so it's not that far away, is it? You see, so fresh ideas. All the team will want to be playing the way he suggests, and he's a good coach. He does know how to coach a team. Like I said before, he did go a little bit stale with England, but I think the new team and the new challenge will probably reinvigorate him as a coach.
It's always good to have a pantomime villain at the World Cup anyway, so I'll spice it up.
Definitely. I think what's interesting is he's not just a pantomime villain to us now, but he's been the pantomime villain to the Australian fans. Wasn't it only like a few months back he was being shouted traitor at him from his own Australian...
Yeah, he got confronted by that fan, didn't he?
Yeah, so I'll be interested to see how long it takes for the Aussies to get on board with him. He's going to have good results pretty quickly,
But I mean, if he
surely.
gets the results, they won't care.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
it'll all be forgotten.
Yeah, very
And I think,
quickly, if he gets the results, it'll be
yeah,
forgotten.
I mean, he does have a good record at World Cups. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think it was right for us to let him go because we'd reached a point where it wasn't working.
Yeah.
I have to say, from backing up Mark's point, what Haskell said, and a few people have said, how the hell he's got out of his contract without any kind of clause
Yeah.
is bonkers. And the people at the RFU need a proper look at how you write a contract.
I'm guessing it'll be to do with money. And the fact that he maybe was given less to be allowed to do what he's doing now.
Maybe.
The RFU,
But even so,
for the last few years, have been going on about the fact that they're not flush. So that could have been a possibility.
I think they're
possibly.
not that easy to enforce them kind of clauses anymore, I think, as
Yeah.
well.
That as well.
You've had to pay his contract. Just pay his contract out in full.
Yeah, that's the
Pay
other
his
thing.
contract out in full. He's got no argument.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've paid
It's
his
difficult.
they've just paid his contract out, and basically at the end of that, you're not going to stipulate you can't go anywhere.
He may have already had it written in anyway when he signed
Yeah,
that he could go and coach straight away if it didn't work.
I also wonder if there was a possibility that it was like he signed on the line saying, I'll be happy to not go anywhere else, but if Australia come calling, I'm there.
No, but I mean, it would be unrealistic to say you can't go anywhere else when
Yeah.
your contract ends. That's a given. But if you're terminating someone from their contract 8 months before a World Cup, I would suggest it makes sense to think about putting a non-competition clause in there.
Yeah.
But as you say, it could come down to money.
I mean,
Yeah.
the other thing to think about is look at Australia at the moment, and you can't actually tell who their best 10 and 9 are at this precise moment.
No.
Yeah.
Because they don't know and no one else knows. Yeah. But
I didn't know whose arm was.
in all honesty, Eddie's going to probably go back to Quade Cooper at the rate.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
going.
I could absolutely see that.
I think the way that Australia are playing, they're their own kind of thingy clause, yeah.
I think it'll be interesting. I mean, Australia have always been one of those teams that have been a big game team, and I think probably
for sure.
Hooper taking that break is what Australia needed to stop falling back on one player. That's the thing.
Yeah. Then I think as well, you look further ahead. You've got the Lions in 2025, and then the next World Cup. There's just some really fun stories, narratives. I think throughout that whole period.
No, definitely. I think it's when I saw the news, I think I just giggled because I was just like, it's such a good thing for the game. I'm glad they didn't have that clause because, frankly, we've now got 3 teams. We've got England, Wales, and Australia, all with brand new managers going into a World Cup. Could end up in the same side of the draw.
Yep.
Great stories. And I think we discussed this before on one of the previous podcasts. This World Cup is probably one of the most open World Cups I've known, if not ever. And now it just becomes even more open because I wouldn't have really put Australia in that top tier of can they win the World Cup? I would have said probably not. I think Nick will definitely say probably not still, but I do feel like this gives them that little bit of hope, I think.
I think so, right?
I say that in the set. Who's he got with him? Who's coaching with him?
We don't know yet. He's not. I don't think
That's
he's
the key, I think.
Whoever it is will
not been
probably be
said.
sacked before the World Cup anyway.
That's the key. It depends who's with him, but I would have thought it made him weaker, but just can't.
He may well do.
The thing with World Cups and any knockout tournament is all it takes is a good game. You don't have to string together the most convincing sort of run of results. You can literally rock up and get it right on the day, and all of a sudden you're in the mix.
Look at
Yeah.
England in 2007, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely,
I mean,
that team was
you've just
absolutely awful.
you've just got to look at their actual group, and it's literally Wales and Fiji
Yeah.
are the big ones in in their group, and it's like, yeah, actually, is that bad? No.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see on Eddie then. But it sounds like overall we think probably positive, apart from Nick, that he's shaking his head. Cool. I'll just say a quick apologies. I just realised that the video link had not clicked. So the first part of that podcast didn't have any video. Hopefully now you can see us all, and we'll be going on from there. So after talking about Eddie Jones and their fortunes, it's time to move on to a bit about England, but also sort of discipline in the game. So I think this topic came up really ever since the Farrell incident that happened a few weeks ago. I'll let others sort of have a discussion about that. But effectively, he got a ban. But the way that they've sort of wrangled it, it seems like Farrell will be available for England to play at the Six Nations, which I think a lot of people disagree with. But it raises that whole topic issue of, is discipline in the game going too far? Is there sort of a preference to not hand out harsh sanctions in the lead up to international tournaments? And just what do we think of the state of play in general in terms of, are the referees being too harsh, not harsh enough, things being missed,
So,
all of that?
I think the idea about not handing out sanctions leading up to big tournaments is a bit of a non-starter because you apply the laws equally.
Yeah.
Whether it's a league game or Six Nations, whatever, it is what it is. I think my biggest gripe with it all is consistency.
Yeah.
In that they've brought the rules in for player safety, which I think is really important. You've got to look after and protect players. But it seems to be I can watch different games, see the same incidents, and get different results depending upon what the referee's seen or hasn't seen.
Yeah.
And even with the backup from the TMO, sometimes they're talking through the process, and I can't believe what I'm hearing. And I hate to say this, but when I'm watching on BT Sport, I'm actually getting a slightly better commentary from Austin Healy. And that feels wrong saying that. I feel dirty saying that. All right.
Yeah.
But he's calling it far better than the refs are.
Go and wash your mouth out.
Which is I'm going to go beat myself later. But yeah, I mean, there's got to be a way around that.
Even as a Leicester fan, that was just embarrassing to hear.
Listen, man, I feel wrong. I feel it feels shameful.
I think
Yeah, I think sometimes when he just says it as it is, he does have a point.
I think there's
Do you feel like it's a non-starter? Because it does seem like they hand out sanctions, but there'll be like ways of getting the rules reduced. Things like, thinking like the Marla incident, where they're like, "Oh, go and do a few educational talks, and we'll reduce the sanction a little bit." And it seems like that seems to be happening more and more regularly. And it's like, so with the Farrell one, it's like they've given him a match ban or a couple matches ban, but because it doesn't quite fall on the international weekend, they can say like, "Oh, Farrell's not declared to play for us or something at this point, therefore he plays one extra game for his club, and now he can suddenly play for England against Scotland." It just seems a bit fishy to me. So that's why I raise it as, is it a non-starter, or is there something going on there?
Bullshit.
Oh yeah,
Because it basically is. It's just bollocks.
Yeah. They've all been talking about how many red cards have been given out. All the ex-players and commentators on BT and stuff like that. They've all been talking about how many red cards have been given out. At the end of the day, it is up to players to make sure they arrive at the right time and be hitting in the right place. There are some unavoidable incidents which have been, carded that maybe shouldn't have been, but in the main, I would say most it's down to player positioning rather than actually refs getting it wrong.
That I definitely agree with. I think in terms of players and how they're coached needs to be better.
Yeah.
I just think that when you hear the referees talk through the protocols and the framework, just sometimes I see things getting missed or things getting picked up on. Like, Slade's card got overturned by the citing commissioner, and at the time it was really obvious that it's not a red, but the referee's seen it, and the way he was describing it, I was sitting there going, I don't get this.
It was
The same with the Farrell thing. He's saying, "Oh, there's 5 phases of play. We can't go back and look at it," and that's wrong. It's foul play. You can look at it anytime you like.
Yeah.
I think
So
it's
that for me, that's where the problem is.
yeah. So the Slade one, Ross, that
Yeah,
was just plain. He saw something in the full speed that actually wasn't there because it happened so quickly. It was clear. He even said he's hit his shoulder first, then gone onto the head, and then watched another replay that was faster and went, "Oh no, he's hit him in the head. Oh, that's it. End of subject." And it was just the way he was describing it was just wrong. The Farrell one, as the BT Sports guys said, there's a hit there that needs to be looked at. But then
absolutely.
But then I think Carl Dixon kind of didn't know if the TMO had seen it live or seen it on a replay, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
I do, but
it shouldn't matter.
It doesn't matter. If the TMO's flagged up an incident to be reviewed of foul play, you review the foul play incident.
I think it was down to in the position of what play it was in and the rules of the game that they have to pick it at a certain point of play from that. If it had gone on too many plays or if it was too many plays back, and I think that was what the TMO and the actual ref on the pitch got confused about, I think.
Chris, you sound like you want to say something.
I think for me, personally, I think there needs to be more cooperation between the players and the coaches because it shouldn't be like an adversarial thing. And when you see, like, you watch the program and you see, like, Steve Thompson's in tears and he's got, like, clearly a head injury and all of that, I think the players and the coaches need to play their part and realize that there's going to be, like, a teething problem, like now, where they're going to, like, maybe dish out more red cards than they should. But you're just going to ruin one game instead of ruin somebody's life by letting them get head injuries. So I think there both needs to be a bit of understanding from both sides, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'll even going back to the game at Sale, which I was at and I watched, the Visa red card.
Yeah.
I'll call my own team and say Visa was wrong. He took his arm and he hit the opponent's head. He could have positioned himself better and hit somewhere else. He didn't need to hit where he hit him. He didn't move, so he actually caught him on the head. He could have hit him in a different position. It's about taking ownership of going into the tackle area in the right way and not trying to blast through the tackle area. It's about getting into there and hitting in the right position. Actually viewing, looking, and making sure you hit in the right place.
I think
it is quick, but it needs to be done correctly.
Yeah, going to that one, Paul. That was just quite an old school clear out.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a hard hit either. Really, he didn't hit him hard, or it was just silly.
It was just a lazy old school
and
clear
it cost Sale a game.
Yeah.
What do we? What do you
guess.
So you carry on, Ross. I'll ask in a sec.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking with the Six Nations coming up, with the World Cup coming up, I agree completely that players and coaches have to get it together.
Yeah, they need to take ownership
because you don't want a game to be decided. For example, like England Ireland last Six Nations, the early red card, although England played well, made it very difficult for them.
Yeah,
to compete
which
in that
is
game.
exactly what happened to Sale.
You know, think about the Women's World Cup final. Early red cards,
Yeah.
Lydia Thompson. That puts a massive change on the game. And I think you want to see 15 on 15. You want to see the game played.
Yeah.
So I don't think it necessarily lies with the referees so much, although I would definitely argue for more consistency. But players and coaches got to be thinking,
Yeah.
the refs are going to give red
They've got to
cards.
hold their hands up and say, look, we need to be better at this.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are the rules going forward. They are what we've got to play to. We need to get better at it.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely that consistency issue though still, Ross, as well. Like, I don't know whether he's been cited or not, but the Tuilagi incident that I think happened last weekend.
Oh, that really annoyed me. As a
where, like,
Harlequins fan.
yeah, I don't.
Sorry,
has he-
guys. I'm
yeah, you
I'm
go
gonna get
for
my
it. I don't-
soapbox on this one.
Can you clarify? Has he been cited or not? Do you know?
No, not I'm aware of.
Okay.
The thing which frustrated me was I appreciate Nick Evans Nick Davis has caught the ball. He's falling forwards. Okay, so there's mitigation. There's already mitigation involved in the Tuilagi hit. He's committed. He can't really pull out. When you watch the hit, it's shoulder to head with no wrap. And yet the ref was like, "Yeah, nothing to see here." And yet on the replay, it's so clear that it's shoulder to head with no wrap.
It's kind of a hard one to argue against because it's clear, but it's a very fast changing thing. And
yeah.
what probably
so for me, I would have been happy with a yellow or even a penalty.
Yeah. But I think what should have happened, and this is what someone said, was what causes that player to fall, and it was contact in the air that made him fall in that position. And actually, that's what should have been penalised. The player that contacted him in the air, because
contacted in the air, yeah.
That caused everything else. Yes, Tuilagi.
Yeah.
Yes, Tuilagi did hit him in the face and had his arm tucked, but actually, he had seen something changing, and in that split second, tried to stop it, and just
for sure
got everything wrong.
The thing for me is it was just the refusal to review it when there's so many other things that get reviewed. It's like that's a consistency issue right there.
I
suspect foul play. You have a duty to review that play.
Yeah.
If you can get referees to be consistent, or you're going to save the game, but it's never going to happen.
I appreciate it's difficult because every situation is unique, but at the same time, we are dealing with a very clever, very professional, very talented group of referees at the top level. So I feel that's not too much to ask.
Yeah. Chris, what did you want to say?
I think for me, that was the downside to having an experienced referee like Wayne Barnes. When they're coming to the end of their career, they think they know kind of better. And the fact that, like Ross said, that he didn't review it, I think that was like really disappointing about the whole incident, really.
Yeah. You can sort of forgive mistakes, but then surely when you've got the technology there to check it, why wouldn't you just check it?
And like Ross said, when the TMO pipes in for something really stupid and petty, and then you have something like that and they don't even review it, you're like, well, what's the point? Let's just go back to how it was without the television stuff and just play the game.
Was that incident happened on the first week of January or something? Because they were talking about the rules changed, didn't they, over January, about speeding up the game and less
the
TMO
less time at
interaction.
So 30-second scrums.
30-second scrums, less TMO interaction and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just a bit of getting used to that as well.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing
but
is,
they had Tommy Allen was down on the ground for like 10 minutes, so he had plenty of time to review it, didn't he?
I get that, but you can't almost go, some guys got injured, let's go through everything to see how they got injured, and that's what.
True. I don't think. Yeah, but see, this is where I think you've got to be careful in that the outcome of the hit or the tackle, shouldn't determine the sanction that's applied.
Yeah.
Yet the way the rules are written,
Yeah.
if you tackle someone dangerously but they land okay, it's a lesser penalty. If you tackle someone dangerously and they land in a bad position, it's a higher sanction, which I feel is a flaw in that if the tackle itself is dangerous, work from that position rather than did they land on their neck or their shoulder.
Yeah. Are they
You're
down
wanting
injured?
the laws to be applied equally through every game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
as far as possible.
And-
Like it's never going to be.
No.
You're talking
No, listen,
human error, but
we accept that
Yeah,
absolutely, 100%.
Refs are humans, and we all do make mistakes. Especially in the heat of battle, so to speak.
I mean, apart from Nick, obviously, clearly it's perfect.
yeah,
I think
Perfectly what?
I think
I don't think
the
this
other
is like.
I just think if you want referees, I think the refereeing is pretty dire. Considering they're supposed to be professional, it's dire.
But this isn't also
I think
like
you got a hard job. Hard job, but
yeah. So I was gonna add that this isn't like us intending to just slag off referees for
Not the
no
slightest.
reason.
I have
Like
massive respect
Yeah.
for every
Yeah.
referee involved.
It is a hard job.
I was going to say that earlier I was chatting to Nick about stuff, and it was a couple of weeks ago. Luke Pearce refed a game, and literally just went, "I'm not going to stand for any of this caterpillar ruck taking your time. No, the game is going to get moving." And literally, he was just on it from
Yeah.
beginning to end, just saying, "Right, you're going to use the ball. That's it. I'm only going to warn you once, and if you don't, that's it. We're going to give the scrum," and just try to speed up the game. And it's really good to see that. But the only problem
Yeah.
is that when England are going to play, we're not going to have an English ref. We're going to have a different country refing us that has a different interpretation of the rules and how it's played.
Yeah. So I suppose it's
True.
understanding
Actually,
how each referee that you get referees the game in their country. Are you going to have to
for sure.
watch referees and how they get referee the game to know how to play that referee?
I think that's a good point to link into our last topic, which will be the Six Nations. So this is probably going to be our last podcast before the Six Nations, which starts in February. We might fit one in before, but I'm not sure. We're all going to be, well, a lot of us are going to be going to the games, hopefully sat together. How are we feeling about the upcoming tournament?
Kind of optimistic, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's an opportunity for Steve Borthwick to put out, what he feels he's going to do, what players he's looking at. I was excited by his squad selection. And I think in many ways he's got a bit of a free hand, just try and play some things, and forge what is going to be his way. I think, look at France and Ireland, they're pretty set in where they're at. They know what they're doing, clear favourites still. At the same time, it's going to be interesting to see what Wales bring to the table. Gatland, how he reinvigorates them. So I'm just looking forward to a fun Six Nations with the added sort of pressure of you're building towards World Cup.
I think the good thing about Eddie's selection is it's very about form. The form players are in there. So Caden Murley is having an amazing season. Caden Murley, Hassel Collins, those guys are on form. I probably a bit disappointed in the scrum half selections because Ben he's still got something, but it might have been time to try something different.
Yeah.
Van Portfleet had a tough autumn, and Alex Mitchell, he has good spells, and then just does something stupid during a game, and it's just like, yeah. And I know Paul will rave about it, but Rafi Quirk is now back fit, and just
Yeah,
I
but
think
he's
the only
only played
thing
about
against
half
him,
a game now, hasn't he? If that.
yeah.
Less than half a game.
I think if Rafi Quirk had a few more games under his belt, he'd be in there.
Yeah, definitely.
But then you could say the same about Marcus Smith, mate. He's literally just come back.
Yes, but at the same time, he's come back at full fitness, and as you saw from the Racing game, he's back on form.
Yes.
And
yeah. Cool.
yeah, I just think that he was playing well before that. Yeah, he's had an injury, he's come back, and in that fly half position, you're looking at Owen Farrell and Marcus Smith right now.
Yes.
And it also looks like Marcus Smith probably won't start unless Borthwick's sticking with the Eddie Jones Smith at Farrell axes. It looks like Farrell will start.
Do you know what though? That's going to be really interesting to see what Borthwick does with that.
Yeah.
I don't have a firm opinion on either way, so I'm really curious to see what Steve Borthwick goes with.
Yeah.
I saw something I read something earlier that don't know how true it is. But Kevin Sinfield had said he was favouring Owen Farrell at 10 because of defensive strength in the 10 position.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how true it is.
Well, that's what I said. It looks like
a more
like
measured
Farrell will
game plan
start.
as well. I think with Owen there.
Well, I mean, I think Farrell's best position is 10.
Yeah.
I think
And now he's captain. Surely he's going to be starting. So, you'd assume
think
that
the other
Marcus
thing-
Smith is coming on as an impact player towards the end of the game.
I think if
also it depends. Sorry.
I think if Farrell wasn't banned for these couple of weeks, he would start at 10, dead cert, because he's been the form 10 for the last couple of weeks, and it would have carried on. But now he's banned, I think it will go Marcus Smith and Farrell, because Nick Evans has even admitted it could work, and it's just one of those, because Marcus Smith is literally come back, great form. He's now got 3 games or 2 games to carry on that form, whereas Farrell isn't going to play for 3 weeks.
I think that. Sorry.
It also depends on what kind of game plan Borthwick and Kevin Sinfield want for those two, because it could be the way that Eddie asked Smith and Farrell to play that caused them not to work very well together.
Yeah,
but
maybe they have something different and a way that to play that puts them together that may create something. Because you've got to look at when we had Johnny and
Mike Cat and Mike Tyndall.
Or what's his face?
Greenwood.
That's it. Greenwood. I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah,
Greenwood was a centre.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, but
he always played at centre.
But he was also
the thing
a
was,
ball player.
It was like, for example, if you're going back in time to that Wales game in 2003, bringing on Mike Cat,
yes, exactly.
made a difference. Made a difference. I think the challenge you had with Smith and Farrell under Eddie is Farrell's calling the shots.
Yeah.
I think you could play Smith and Farrell under Steve Borthwick, but I want to see Smith calling the shots.
Yeah,
and would that mesh with Farrell's personality and the way he plays the game? I don't know.
I'm just not a fan.
I think I think whoever plays at 10 should be calling the shots.
Yeah.
I think that was the big thing that showed in the autumn was when Farrell got injured in the New Zealand game.
Yeah.
He did take a backward step, and Marcus Smith ran the show a bit. And although it was, we've lost the game, guys, let's just play our hearts out and do what we can. And then we just miraculously come back into it. But
interestingly, I think on that passage of play, Ben Young's played the best rugby I've seen him play in a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
And was it that ability to just be played with freedom?
Yeah.
Is it
the game plan that they've been given to play?
Yeah.
And having to stick to, and not deviating from, that's causing them to play the way they were playing.
I think the other thing is we're talking about Owen Farrell and the fact that he is the captain of the team. I think there's a bit of it of everyone thought Genge would probably get the captaincy, but at this precise moment, I think Genge is injured.
Yeah.
At this precise moment, Genge is injured. You've got Courtney Laws, who's just come back, but doesn't seem to be back where Courtney Laws loves to be. Getting
I mean,
used to
has
it.
he? I think has he only even played one game yet?
So he played
Don't know.
he played in the European game, but he was playing with a scrum cap,
Yeah,
which obviously there's something
he's
on his
never worn
mind.
one.
Yeah, there's something on his mind about his concussion and what he's gone through. So it's kind of like, let's take the pressure off him. Borthwick knows Farrell. And I mean, we're talking about Kevin Sinfield. Just think who Kevin
Yeah.
Sinfield grew up with, played with, and all of that. He played with Farrell's dad, knows the character of a Farrell, unfortunately.
But the thing is, though, everybody who's played with Farrell from club to England to Lions raves about his leadership.
Yeah.
You know, he gets
Yeah.
fantastic support from all the players around him.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
guy
he does,
is,
yeah.
he sets the standards. He leads. So, you know,
Yeah.
from that perspective, absolutely, you know, he's your captain. I think the challenge comes in that, does his position work well on pitch? Which is quite challenging. I mean, you look at Sia Khaleesi, and you know, more often than not, he was being subbed at halftime.
Yeah.
Because it worked out for their game plan, but he was absolutely their captain and leader. So I mean, I have no problems with Farrell's captain. I think he's a great leader, and you see people respect him massively, and he brings a lot to the table.
It is that kind of, does he need to have the ability to step back? And that's something that he needs to grow himself. But overall, Six Nations is looking cracking. Lots of
It's tasty.
old rivalries coming back into it and stuff like that. I mean, it made me laugh. The winger, the ex-England winger, is now picked for Scotland. The Bath winger.
Oh yeah, Rory McConnery.
Yeah, I can't say
Coming out
his
his surname
name
properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 7 specialists, gets a cap in 2019, and then through the weird rules can now play for Scotland.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, all right. If those are the rules, those are the rules. Makes a bit of a mockery of it, but class player, and that'll do really well for Scotland. And I think Scotland can be really interesting in this Calcutta Cup, because they've got to figure out the whole Finn Russell situation.
Yeah.
It was also a good chance for them to catch England unawares under Borthwick.
Well, I mean, we've lost both the last games against them.
Yeah. In some ways, you could say we're the underdogs.
Listen, well, I mean, I think we've slight advantage because we're at home. But you look at the back line. The Scottish back line's tasty. If they can manage Finn Russell and Click, they're a damn good team.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that the Six Nations is going to be tasty. So, should we finish there? And let's finish on something a bit of fun. So, it's always been a tradition with this group that we pick player of the match, and if you get it wrong, you take a shot. So, why don't we go for Farrell or Smith starting at number 10? If you get it wrong at the game, we all take a shot. Whoever gets it wrong, and those who are driving,
this could get messy.
Those who are driving, does it when they get home. Sends us a video. Go on then.
What happens?
Mark,
what happens? What Max? What happens if they both start?
I said start at number 10. Who
starts at 10? Okay.
I say Smith at 10.
If Farrell's at 10, Smith won't be playing.
I say Smith to start at 10.
Got to back my Harlequins. Gotta go Smith at 10.
I think Smith will be at 10. I think Smith will be at 10, but Farrell will be 12.
That was a politician's answer, that was.
Well, yeah, it was very
I'm going. I completely agree with Mark, to be fair. I do think they'll have them together, but it's how they get them to play together. That's going to be the interesting thing. But
And
I
Nick?
think it'll be a completely different way to the way that Eddie had it.
Yeah.
Go on then,
Nick,
Nick.
who are you going for?
On the basis that Farrell won't be playing very much before, he'll probably pick Smith. But if he picks Smith at 10 and Farrell at 12 and knock the freaking TV over, I'm just
Gonna
not.
knock the
with those-
watching-
with those nude alarms.
Oh, it's just-
Quick, Nick, do a super, do a super secret signal. Come on, do it.
Go on then.
I just don't believe they can do it.
Yeah,
If
go
they
on,
go down
Max.
that road, if they continue down that road,
Come on, Max, where you at?
So I'm going to make
Yeah.
things interesting because basically, if Smith starts, no one's taking a shot, so I might as well go Farrell. There we go.
Excellent.
The,
Love it.
You're going to have a
how
shot
messy we do-
anyway.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How messy do we want to make it? Do we want to go double or nothing on who wins?
Jesus Christ.
I reckon. Should we stick it there? Maybe next time.
I think stick
Maybe
it there.
next time.
If we've got one before the Six Nations, then yes, double or nothing.
Double or nothing. Yeah. Sounds good. So yeah,
Nice one.
that'll be it for another week. Thanks for joining, everyone, and I hope everyone's enjoyed this podcast. Look out for one in the future. I think we might fit one in before the Six Nations. We might not, but we'll definitely have one after the Scotland game. And yeah, hope you enjoy it. Please like, share, and subscribe to anyone you know. And yeah, please spread the word. Hopefully, we'll have more of these and more regular going forwards. So yeah, have a good one, and see you soon.
Awesome.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hey, guys.
Cheers, Max.
Goodbye.